I bet if you click this video, you're just like me. Smart, handsome, and you hate waiting in line. I mean, it's not so much that you don't want to wait your turn. That's totally understandable, but there's a big difference between waiting your turn and wasting your time, meaning things that could be avoided, problems you could circumvent and otherwise enjoy your vacation. Because after all, when you're on a Royal Caribbean cruise, you're on vacation, you want to maximize every minute. You want to get everything you possibly can out of it. And the last thing you want to be doing is sitting in a line or wasting time doing something that could have been easily avoided in the first place. So today, I've got my list of the absolute top biggest time wasters on a Royal Caribbean cruise and how you can get around each and every one of them. Starting with number one, group shore excursions. All right, so Royal Caribbean offers a lot of tours that you can book in any of the ports. And yes, they do bring you some really amazing places. The biggest problem is that there's a lot of hurry up and wait. They tell you to arrive at the theater in order to meet your shore excursion in the morning, and guess what? You sit there in the seats for about half an hour before you even leave. Then you board a bus, you kind of stand around for a while, get a head count. I mean, there's just a lot of wasted time there. Now, in some cases, a Royal Caribbean excursion is certainly the best idea. When I went to Paris, and it was a 2.5 hour ride from the port, yeah, I was going with Royal Caribbean, because I really wanted that assurance that if we were late getting back to the ship, well, we wouldn't be left behind. That being said, in a lot of other situations, like in the Caribbean and other places where the port is far closer to the excursion that's being done, you can bypass this either with a tour on your own or by booking a private shore excursion to begin with. Cruise line shore excursions simply move at a snail's pace, and in a lot of cases, there's a lot of like, hey, we're going to meet back at this point, and then you're waiting for somebody who's running late, and it just doesn't seem to be as efficient as possible. Not to mention the fact that group excursions also go on a pre-dictated itinerary, meaning you're going to spend time at places that you might not care about and not enough time at places you'd rather spend more time at. My advice is before you book a tour with Royal Caribbean is to look at third-party excursions or even touring on your own, especially if your cruise ship is bringing you to a city like in Europe in which it's easy to walk off the ship and go around on your own with Google Maps and maybe even a self-guided tour option. The second biggest time waster on a Royal Caribbean cruise is even before the cruise begins. When you're in the cruise terminal, there are so many people that waste time standing around doing things they could have been doing when they weren't on vacation. Royal Caribbean offers an opportunity to do your pre-cruise check-in before the sailing begins. You can do it all the way up to many weeks before you're sailing, and it allows you to upload a photo of yourself, enter your information, and everything you need in order to check in for the cruise. If you don't do that, it's not a big deal, except that you're going to get to the cruise terminal and have to do all of it right there. And you know what's going to happen instead? You're going to have the old person behind the counter doing it for you, who doesn't understand how to spell your street name, or that your kid's name is spelled with an E instead of an A, things of that nature. You're going to be able to do it faster than anybody else, and it's just going to be wasting time. Whether it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes, it's just time you could have been on board the ship. And the reality is, Royal Caribbean is really efficient with its boarding process. I mean, if you go on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship these days, and you do all of your check-in options, you can really get from curb to ship within a matter of minutes. In fact, if you do everything in the Royal Caribbean app before the sailing begins, including uploading your photo, adding a credit card, and doing the health questionnaire 24 hours before the cruise begins, you'll actually get something called express boarding. Express boarding allows you to bypass the regular line, get into an express line, because they already know you've done everything you need to be doing, right? All they're going to do is verify that everything you entered is correct and that you do in fact have a passport and you are the person you uploaded a photo of, and you're good to go. It's incredible with the express boarding because it really does get you from the doors of the cruise terminal to the ship and probably to a bar within a matter of minutes. There are 4 easy steps to get express boarding. Scan your passport. Can't enter it manually. You have to scan it with the app. Enter all your personal information and contact information. Take a selfie and upload it. And then, again, 24 hours before your cruise begins, complete the health questionnaire, and bam, after that health questionnaire is filled out, you should see your set sail pass turn purple and confetti and all that. It really does make a nice difference there. For families, this is a godsend because it allows you to really get onto the cruise ship, which is what a lot of kids are focused on anyway, and get the fun started. If you don't have kids, and if you're just a old person like me, well, guess what? It's even better because you're not wasting time in a cruise terminal. You're getting to where you want to start your vacation and just enjoy things. So now that you're on board the ship and you took advantage of the express boarding and you're on board nice and early in the morning, the problem is your room is not going to be ready till 1 p.m. and waiting around for your room to be ready is actually another time-wasting mistake. So most cabins aren't ready till about 1. In some cases, it may be 1:30 or even 2 o'clock, but usually it's about 1. Anyway, what you should be doing instead is maximizing this time. I mean, you're on board the ship, enjoy it. I recommend, first and foremost, exploring the ship. This is a great first day activity for anybody, really, because even if you've watched our amazing YouTube video tours of the ship you're going on, that's wonderful, but seeing it yourself really does make a difference. It makes it all tangible and puts everything into perspective, and it's a great way to kind of see where everything is and get your bearings. Also, this is the perfect time to take advantage of shorter lines at places like the water slides or crowds at the pool. Most people that boarded the ship with you, and even right after you, they have their bathing suits in their luggage that they gave to the porters and won't be delivered until later that afternoon. So this is one of the best times to take advantage of those shorter lines at the water slides and again at the pool and just enjoying that. What I would do is have your bathing suit in your carry-on bag. You can easily change into them at one of the public restrooms near the pool deck and then enjoy those facilities. I mean, it really will make a difference because even as that day goes on, the lines to the water slides will get longer. As parents watching this video, I can tell you the lines to the water slides rarely get short, so this is one of the best times to take advantage of it. Not to mention the fact that, let's face it, your kids are going to ask you incessantly, can we go to the water slides? Can we go to the water slides? Can we go to the water slides? Well, now you have that opportunity. If there's one way people waste their time at dinner, it's with My Time Dining. I'm not hating on My Time Dining. There's something wrong if you booked it, but what I do think is a mistake is booking My Time Dining and not having a reservation. My Time Dining is an option that you have for more flexible dining times for dinner in the main dining room on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Basically, the way that it works is you have the choice of making a reservation in advance or simply showing up and waiting in the standby line. The problem with the standby line is unless you're rolling in there pretty late in the evening, there's going to be a fairly long line for you. In fact, many times I've gotten out of my dinner and seen a giant line for My Time Dining and always think to myself, thank God I didn't actually book that. What you really should be doing is one of two things. One, making a reservation in advance. Because with My Time Dining, there are two lines. People with a reservation, people without. And those with a reservation are seated sooner. Of course, the other option is to simply book traditional dining and have a set time every night of the cruise. I know it's not ideal because 5 o'clock is too early, 8 o'clock is too late, and on some days you want to eat early, some days you want to eat late. But I just think the fact that with traditional dining, that you have a table every night with no waiting, to me, makes it worthwhile. But I know some people disagree with me on this one, but I'll simply say with My Time Dining, you absolutely want to make reservations. I get it that having reservations for a flexible dining schedule seems to be counterintuitive, but I really do believe that at the end of the day, the last thing you want to be doing is waiting in a long line to eat dinner. So for that reason, I would say make a reservation to avoid being one of those people in line. Speaking of lines for things, also, there are people that have to stand around waiting to get into a show. And this is really cumbersome because, of course, you want to see the amazing entertainment on board a Royal Caribbean cruise, whether it's the Aqua Theater, comedy show, one of the Broadway shows in the Royal Theater, etc. The thing is, if you're on a newer, bigger Royal Caribbean cruise ship, specifically the Oasis, Quantum, or Icon class cruise ships, you need to have a reservation for a show. Here's the problem. If you don't have a reservation and you wait to book a reservation on board the ship, good luck, because it's all going to be sold out by the time you get on board. And of course, the crew members will tell you, not to worry, sir or madam, you can wait in the standby line. And they're not wrong. I mean, you probably will get into a show, but maybe not necessarily. And now, more to the point, you're going to be standing in line for at least 15, 20 minutes, maybe even longer than that in order to get in there. So what you really should be doing is make a reservation before the cruise begins. Usually, entertainment bookings open up the first of the month prior to the month of your cruise that you're sailing in. This does vary a little bit, especially with newer ships, but something to keep an eye on. And it's free to make reservations, by the way. So this is really the best course of action. So that way, when you have a reservation, you can saunter right into the theater, not wait for it in line, and enjoy the show. Another classic cruise time waster is waiting for an elevator. I mean, I'll wait for elevators, don't get me wrong, but in some cases, the elevators can be really, really long. It's like when a show lets out or when you're trying to get back on board a cruise ship after a short excursion, there's a lot of other people competing for it, and that means, of course, long waits, crowded elevators, and just a lot of frustration. There are a couple strategies that I've discovered in order to get around this. First of all, you could just walk about 2 or 3 decks up and then catch the very same elevator. You'd be amazed how many people take the elevator only 2 or 3 decks and then simply get out. As an example, they're boarding on deck 2 or 3, and then they go up to the Royal Promenade, which is on deck 5. It's amazing, but yet it happens. Some people will advocate skipping the elevators altogether and using primarily the stairs. It's a noble idea, but I mean, I'm not going up 10 flights of stairs no matter what, but you do you. And the other idea is to simply go to the next elevator bank. So if you're in the aft elevators and they're super full, walk to the forward elevator bank and pick them up over there. Perhaps they'll be less crowded. How about the long lines at guest services? Because that can be really long, especially on embarkation day, on the last day of the cruise, and other times as well. If you see a really long line at guest services, first and foremost, you could possibly avoid it by simply waiting it out. Like the first day, it is a zoo there until about dinner time because people go to guest services to ask every question under the sun. Not to mention they may have issues with like their folio or perhaps their CPAS card, whatever. The thing is, if you can wait it out, great. If you can't wait it out, there are alternatives. If you're a Diamond member, go to the Crown Lounge and the Diamond host there can help you. If you're staying in a suite, well, then you have access to the suite concierge who can do the exact same thing for you. On Royal Caribbean's newer ships through the Royal Caribbean app, you can actually use the chat feature to take care of things like folio issues and maybe some other basic things that you might need a yes or no question on. Some of the worst lines I encounter, though, are usually in the Windjammer, which, of course, is the buffet on board the cruise ship. And if you're there in the morning or on embarkation day for lunch, it can get very, very crowded. So there are a couple ways around this. Number one is to, well, eat early or late. Get on board the ship, go to the Windjammer early before it gets really crowded. So if you can have lunch before noon, like around 11 o'clock, that might work well, or roll in at like 2 o'clock right before they close. The other alternative is to eat somewhere else completely. Go to Park Cafe, go to Aquadome Market, go to Sorrento's, Cafe Promenade. Something just to tide you over, but not have a full meal necessarily, but still avoid a very big crowd. Some guests will actually book specialty dining. I mean, that's one way to throw money at the problem and not have to worry about longer lines in order to enjoy a welcome aboard lunch and also start your vacation off on a nice note. Finally, let's say you listen to all this advice and you're like, Matt, this is great, but you know what? I don't want to wait in line and I also don't want to do anything on my part. I want to have the easy button. Tell me there's a way I can throw money at the problem. And the answer is yes, Star Class. So Royal Caribbean offers Star Class as its ultimate suite amenity. In fact, you can actually book now Royal Genies on other Royal Caribbean cruise ships. The idea here is simple. You have the Royal Genie who's responsible for you and like 2 other cabins, and they take care of every single issue you may have. Billing issues, lines, you're not waiting in them. They will escort you around the ship. They're like a VIP guide through the ship in order to avoid lines, waiting, and really anything else requiring logistics on your part. I mean, it truly is the easy button. Now, of course, Star Class is not cheap. If you book a Star Class cabin, you'll probably spend about $30,000 for a 7-night cruise for a family of 4 in one of those amazing suites. If you book it for a older ship, like the Rented Genie service, that's probably going to cost you about $300 a day per person. Again, not cheap, but this is really meant for not the economical people out there. This is meant for the folks who want to throw money at the problem. They want the easy button. They want the how do I bypass the line button and make this as easy as possible by really just paying for it. And there's a market for it. Not everybody, because of course the Star Class rooms are very limited and the Genies are only a couple on the ship. So it's a very limited service, but it definitely is the one way to bypass all of it. Here's hoping this video will help you avoid some of the biggest time wasters on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Get your time back, maximize your cruise, and enjoy your vacation just a little bit more. Let me know in the comments below, what are your top tips for avoiding wasting time? And don't even tell me about the key. It's not as good as it sounds. In fact, I'm going to share now my video about why the key is not going to save you time. It just seems like a better idea than it really is. Thanks for watching. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.